Hi guys, it's Laura. I have recently been getting a couple messages about people who are thinking about starting Remicade, and I wanted to make a video about Remicade because I was on Remicade for about a year and 2 months before I got my colon out. Um, so I'm going to tell you a couple things. I'm going to tell you probably an experience. You know how I do my videos. I just wing it. I just talk like I'm talking to someone, like you're sitting in front of me and I'm having a conversation with you. So, first of all, I want to tell you about the experience when the doctor told me that I needed to start Remicade. I was in the hospital. I was flaring. They had done a sigmoidoscopy, and I was so inflamed and terrible that they realized that I had broken through steroids. And if you don't know what that means, breaking through steroids is when steroids don't work for you anymore because you've been on them for so long that your body doesn't really react to them, or it just wasn't enough to keep me in remission. I never really was in remission for the 2 years that I had colitis. But so they told me that they were going to start Remicade, and it actually wasn't even my doctor. It was one of his fellows who told me, and I was just very nervous. So they start off by monitoring your blood pressure and everything, making sure that your body is not having a bad reaction to it. I was on Imuran at the time too, which is azathioprine. And that actually, if you are on azathioprine, my doctors had told me that actually sometimes is good because it means that you have less of a chance to have a bad reaction to Remicade. So that was kind of cool. So basically they set it as slow drip. The first infusion took 5 or 4 hours. And then every infusion after that took 3 because they knew that I didn't react badly to it the first time. Remicade is a really scary drug because, not to scare you, but I want to give you the right information. Even if you don't react badly to it the first time or the second time or the third time or the 50th time, you can still react badly to it every time. So nurses come in and they take your blood pressure every 15 minutes when you are getting your infusion, and usually infusions last 2.5, 3 hours, depending on your blood pressure, if they can, up the speed or not. So they monitor it, and I would always get a little bit of anxiety when I got Remicade, but me and my mom kind of changed our idea of it, and we called it my life juice. And so I was on Remicade for a year and 2 months, and I have a friend who has Crohn's, and she is a Remicade cheerleader. That's always what my doctors would call people, is Remicade cheerleaders. And they said, if Remicade works for you, you will be a Remicade cheerleader because it will make you feel so good and so great. And a lot of people that I met who, because the infusion rooms, the outpatient infusion center I went to, there were always 2 chairs in the room, and so you could have a discussion with someone at whatever infusion they were getting, and I shared some rooms with people who had Remicade, and it just worked so well for them, and they were so happy, and it was just this thing they did once every 8 weeks, and I went once every 8 weeks, but I was not a Remicade cheerleader, unfortunately. So, I mean, it kept me at 6 bowel movements a day, still cramps, still pain, but it was manageable, so I could still go to school and I could still live a semi-normal life, but not a completely normal life. So then I started flaring a little bit more. Every time I would get off steroids, by the way, I would flare, full-fledged flare. Full-fledged flare. That's hard to say. 20 bowel movements a day, excruciating pain, hospital, bowel rest where you can't eat or drink anything, and then they put me back on steroids and I'd be okay. So steroids mixed with Remicade kept me semi-normal. So my GI doctor at University of Chicago decided that he wanted to double my dose of Remicade. So that was 10 milligrams per kilogram, I think is what it's called. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. It's been a while. But so anyways, he doubled my dose of Remicade. That did absolutely nothing, unfortunately. Sometimes it works for people, and they're like, great, you need to. So Remicade, they can double your dose. They can, instead of every 8 weeks, you come in every 6 weeks for your infusion, just depending on how your body reacts. And unfortunately, my body I guess my immune system was tougher than Remicade because Remicade did not work for me, and that is why I got my surgery. But Remicade works for a lot of people with ulcerative colitis and a lot of people with Crohn's. So, I guess just don't be nervous. It is an infusion. You're going to be such a little toughie after this because you have to get IVs once every 8 weeks. But think of it as a life juice infusion. Think of it as, your saving grace. I always thought of it as my spa day. I used to say that to my friends. They're like, oh, you're getting an infusion? I'm like, yeah, it's my spa day today because it was 3 hours where you had to sit in a chair, so I'd watch HGTV or the Food Network, and I would, once actually I ordered a pizza, and they brought it in. Sometimes my boyfriend at the time would come in, and we'd talk and gossip and giggle during my infusion, but they do give you Benadryl beforehand because they want to make sure that you don't have an allergic reaction to it, so you get very sleepy, but not because of the Remicade, because of the Benadryl. Um, so it does make your immune system weaker, which is a good thing, but also it makes it a lot easier to catch things. I had thrush in my mouth a couple times, which I'm sure some of you are aware of. Um, yeah, so just a fungal infection in your mouth because you catch things that normal people don't catch when you're on immunosuppressants. So, not a terrible thing. I mean, it really is not the worst thing in the world. It is simple. It is kind of easy. You meet really interesting people when you get to talk to them for 3 hours in an infusion center. I met some really inspirational people there. So don't be nervous. Talk to me if you want to. Ask me about my experiences about Remicade. I'll be more than happy to share them with you. I hope this was a little bit helpful. It's kind of just a story, but if you have any questions or comments, post below. I think I'll make a video on prednisone as well because I've gotten a few posts about prednisone as well. So I think that's it for this video. I hope this was helpful. I hope you guys are doing super well and are healthy, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye!